Do you get one or not?
I hope so.
I mean, I feel like you should have one already.
Yeah, right? That's what I say.
We have a limited supply.
Yeah, right?
And I was like, well, we'll be here, so I guess I won't get to...
Well, if you're good
You put it closer,
and you're
or
charming, I would part with mine.
Yeah, I'll try to be closer.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you get your camera. I like your sweatshirt.
Oh, thank you. Sometimes you gotta remind them.
It's a good way of being.
Yeah.
I love it. Shall we get started?
Yeah.
That way. You're gonna throw me under the bus first.
You've got that.
You look the most. You got the button shirt. So you didn't hear it from me, but a outlet told me that I know cosplay is a big part of your life, but for the interviews, if you could just tone it down a bit. And now I'll start recording. Okay. What would you say, if you don't mind, I'm Mike with TrekMovie.com. What would you say is the biggest change for your character from the beginning, from 1 through 10, like where we are now? If you could pick one thing, what would that thing be?
I'd say he's much more of a leader than before. I think Dow kind of gets a bad rep sometimes because, he was dropped off as a child on a child labor mining planet and forced not to speak to anyone. And I think that can be very hard for somebody. And, for him to come and learn how to empathize with other people and build a team and become a leader, I'd say that's the biggest change. Yeah.
Thank you. Me? Yep. So, being this like one of the first big cons after the show coming out during the pandemic and everything, how does it feel being able to see the fans of the show in person?
Yeah, it feels good. I still haven't gotten to explore or do anything yet, so I'm excited for when everything dies down so I can go sneak outside. But yeah, it's really cool. The first time we were here, we were sort of premiering this story, and now that we're here, there's so much feedback on Twitter, and Ella showed me a subreddit the other day all about Prodigy and stuff. So it's been really cool to see how people are reacting to the show and witness our own little mini fan base kind of starting to carve out of the whole Star Trek franchise. So yeah, it feels cool. It's a privilege and an honor because you hope when you jump into something as big as Star Trek that it's you get to make your mark. Yeah.
Dow's search for identity and where he comes from is obviously a major plot point and a major part of his character. Do you have any thoughts? I know they probably haven't. You'll probably learn as you go, the way the audience does. But do you have any thoughts or do you have? I'm wording this terribly. I'm very sorry. Do you have a headcanon for
just around self-discovery?
Yeah, where he's from. Do you have thoughts about that?
Oh yeah, well I know, of course. It's gonna be quite the. Dow has been looking for who he is, who his parents are, where he comes from, what his purpose is, since the beginning of the series. So that's all gonna get to, be revealed in this next part of the season, and he's gonna have to face it, which is, it's hard for anybody, I think, to, meet or go and sort of figure who they are out. But yeah, I feel like for Dal, it's been imperative for him to learn who he is because, it's hard for him to have sort of a model of how he's supposed to be or where he's comes from or, what his purpose again is in the entire universe. And, it can be hard, not seeing yourself around and I think I relate to even just as an actor sometimes, not seeing a lot of myself on screen, and therefore you don't really know which parts to play or where you fit or how to speak to people. And so I think for Dal, especially the position that he's taken as captain, it's going to be a tough reality to come to terms with who you are and to be able to accept that and figure out what to do with it after that, especially at such a young age. Yeah. If that answers.
No, yes, yeah.
Star Trek Prodigy is an amazing concept because it appeals to a younger audience. Mm-hmm. But I think it has some of the most grown-up themes I've seen, starting with outsiders that aren't aware of the Federation and expanding the diversity seen throughout the universe.
Totally.
I think it's probably one of the more political shows. And has that informed the way you approach the character?
100%. Again, I think just even the last question, talking about Dal and even even like, you know, how you can feel sometimes, how we can feel separated in society by race even. That was my immediate way into Dal. When I first read the script, even at my audition, was, you know, feeling sort of like, oh, I understand this, how it feels to sort of be an outlier or an outsider or alienated in some way. And so I think, yeah, it's tackling one of the last sort of, you know, prejudices of the whole Star Trek universe is what are you and who are you and where do you come from and what does that mean for your role in society. So yeah, I think it's really important for him to learn who he is, but also just for people watching and the younger audiences watching, it's sort of like that lesson wrapped in danger and adventure and fun and friendship and all of these things. So it's like, you know, at the same time as it's this big, weighty, meaty topic, you know, kids are able to sort of like relate to it and ingest it as this sort of story about other kids. So, yeah, it's very political, it's very big topics, but they're coated with honey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So now, given that it is, you know, very meaty and very political and all of that, how did you prepare for the role? Like, what did you, you know, kind of do to get ready for it? Because, you know, it's a lot. Star Trek is this whole, you know, ginormous franchise, and that's preparing on its own. But, you know, there's some really big themes here.
Totally. You're not gonna like this answer. I tried to barely prepare at all. You know, I was really nervous coming into it. I thought, you know, maybe I should watch every Star Trek and I should go learn about everything and see who people are and things like that. And as I was reading the scripts for the first season, I realized that I could discover this all as myself with Dal. And so I don't know if that was the right way to do it, but I feel like it's freed me up so much. I remember my first captain's log. It was super, I don't know if you've heard any of them that I've done on the show. They're getting better. But when I first started them, it was super flippant, and the producers loved it. You know, they thought, wow, these are usually done very matter-of-factly and super seriously. Did you choose to do that? And I was like, I don't even know what a captain's log is. So I think in some ways it's freed me up to bring some freshness and to bring some life into these characters in a different way than we've seen before. And also it's helped me to better chart Dal's growth, because, you know, if I don't know and Dal doesn't know, then as we both learn together, I can inject that into my performance, you know? So I tried not to watch anything.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Leading into that, one of the screeners they gave us was an episode where Dal is confronted with a bit of imposter syndrome, where he encounters a race that thinks they know what Starfleet is, and everybody's looking at his crew is looking at them like they're the imposters, and he starts to look inward.
The holograms, right?
And how much is that being play into how you play the role and how you'd like to see the character go forward?
Yeah, I feel like Dal has had imposter syndrome since the start. You know, I mean, again, he was thrust into a child labor mining planet at the age of, you know, sometime during his adolescence. And so I think a lot of his inner monologue has been around, like, making sure he's awesome and making things work for him and making sure that he's getting what he needs. And I feel like now he's learning, again, who he really is, you know, to empathize with other people, how to connect with other species of races, of everything, you know. So I feel like he's always had some sort of imposter syndrome, and he's learning who he is. And I feel like all of the characters, you know, even Gwen, you know, learning so much about her father and actually what they were there on Tars Lamora to do, and sort of everything she knows is being a lie as well. I feel like lots of them have had imposter syndrome sort of thrust upon them. So it's cool to see it, like, you know, in that episode specifically, I had so much fun being both Dals. But yeah, I feel like it's a big through line, you know, self-discovery, and not just in terms of like who you are, but where you come from and what that means in terms of your strengths and weaknesses and how you play into the greater scheme of the greater good. Yeah. If that made any sense.
Yeah.
Going back to conventions, you guys haven't been, especially you younger members of the cast, haven't been at any Star Trek conventions yet, as far as I know, as guests. Are you looking forward to that? Are you nervous about that?
Totally. I'm looking forward to it. I wish I had like a full Dal cosplay. Go like hide in the crowd, but as Dal, it would be so fun to be like this fun irony. But yeah, no, I haven't gotten to be a guest yet at any of the cons. And I would love to at some point, because I mean, Have you guys seen it out there?
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Like, there's so many people, and out of all my years coming to New York, I had no idea this even was this huge. So yeah, I'm gonna have lots of fun and spend lots of money when I go out there.
That's easy.
Yes.
We're all going to be in debt.
Yep.
Everybody.
If we have time, so you, as you mentioned, learned a lot about Star Trek just being a part of the show. The messages that come out of it. How do you think it applies to, for people in like your generation, Generation Z?
Yeah.
How do you think that those messages are going to resonate or play out?
Yeah, I mean, I think Gen Z is one of the pioneers of self-discovery. I think we are unapologetic and not afraid to come in and shake things up in any of the industries, in any of the franchises, in any of the sort of like societal norms that have been put in place. And so I think it's the perfect message for, our generation coming in. I think for people to see like, you know what, I relate to this person and that's cool because of these things, and I don't relate to this person and that's cool because of these things, and both of which are enough and okay. I think it's a really cool way to sort of introduce young people to the mindset of like what, our collective consciousness should be, especially in the world right now. It's kind of bleak, sometimes. It can get kind of rough, it can get kind of limiting, and I think, the freedom of people and the needs of the many outnumbering the needs of the few is an important thing for everybody to start learning and employing more at any age.
Thank you. Yeah. You're making me think about my own life.
We're all having existential crises now.
What are some lessons from the Star Trek universe that you really want the show to imbue on people and your viewers?
That it doesn't matter where you come from. You can either be on the slave planet, or in Gwyn's case, you can help direct the slave planet. As long as you learn your lessons and you figure out what it is that you are and how to best use that in a way that services others. I'd say I think that is the most important, and also like I'm a sucker for friendship. I'm a sucker for friendship and leadership, and anytime there is any sort of like personal inner growth. So yeah, doesn't matter where you come from, and stay close to your friends.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Without giving too much away, what coming up in the next, in the rest of the season, are you most excited for fans to see?
I'm most excited for people to see Dal's origin story. I think it's, again, tackles one of the last prejudices, I think, even of Starfleet. And I think it's going to be a big moment in the Trek universe for momentous change. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. It's been phenomenal.
Thank you, guys.
Do you want to have a shake your hand?
No.
I just want to say I've shook the hand of a Star Captain.
Thank you. Well, wait till you see Kate.
I'm literally going to have to listen to this as a morning meditation.
Very uplifting, very positive.
Okay, good.
Your answers are incredible.
Thank you. Okay, questions scare me.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Stay in their seats. We're going to actually.
Do a table swap.
No. Stay in their seats and then.